Alright, what's going on guys, it's Liam here, and welcome back to another video on the channel. And in today's video, I want to talk about the spring update and kind of talk about where is the whole entire spring update, because we got a lot of content in test realm, but however in live realm, we actually don't really see that content. As of right now, I believe we only have the new Arc 2 spellements in the game, which are pretty cool. I've been grinding them. The whole spellment system in general, I will be making a video on that pretty soon. The grind for spellments is just like unreal, like even as somebody who does content every day and, needs to get all the gear for content, like I'm playing so much and I'm still like not even halfway done all my spellments. And keep in mind guys, I have like viewers giving me energy elixirs and helping me out here and there all the time. So like thank you guys to everyone that helps me and stuff, but even as somebody who spends a ridiculous amount of time on the game and gets paid for it, it's still literally so unreasonable, and I'm just getting tired of it. I don't want to do it. Wiz also has a problem of not respecting the player's time, which again, I'll be making another video on that in the future here. But yeah, the whole spellment system is just really not good, and it's the only thing we have in the spring update right now that I'm aware of. There is a lot more in the spring update though. We got the new gauntlet, I think the library gauntlet, forbidden library gauntlet, something like that. I did do that over on Twitch in test realm. The players did say they liked the Stitch gear in the gauntlet, and the stats were really, really bad, like not worth doing. Maybe like the amulet is good on a couple of the defensive schools, but generally the stats on the gear in the new gauntlet aren't very good, and they're probably not worth, your time to go out and grind all that. Even though the pity system we have in the new gauntlet is actually pretty good in my opinion, it's still, knowing King's Isle going to be way too much of your time for basically hardly any upgrade. And that's kind of something I've been seeing ever since Waldaroo. Like, right, they put so much emphasis on the player's time, but then, like, you're not rewarded for actually putting the time in. Like, it's quite insane. Yeah, we have the gauntlet that has cool aesthetics and really bad stats and, pretty cool story, lore, dialogue there, which I think some people will enjoy. And then we also have the Portal of Peril, which, again, if you guys don't know, it was called the Portal of Peril update, but the Portal of Peril actually wasn't there when the update went live. So that's pretty funny. Now, this will be out, I think, next month, like April 20th or something, I think. Portal of Peril is basically a way to get rare things in the game via farming a gauntlet and, like, helping other players in a gauntlet. I'm not entirely sure what the drops are going to be like and how different they're going to be in the game, because a lot of it is older gauntlets, like, 130 Sinbad gear, stuff like that. I don't know if they're gonna update these gauntlets and have good, desirable gear to be in them. I think this is a really, really good idea, the Portal Apparel update, and I hope they can really add gear in here maybe, so that, like, anybody in the game and the community can farm for the gear. For example, we have pay-to-win gear in the game that's like the Clockwork Courser or the Chompy Bronto mount still. This has been pay-to-win, I think, ever since level 130. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, guys. That's 40 levels. That's like 4 years it's been pay-to-win for. So maybe within this Portal Apparel update, they could update some of the older rewards or whatever and, put them in here and have them be farmed and obtained at a reasonable rate. So that's a pretty cool thing. And the actual stuff you can craft from the vendor, which is not here because it's live realm, but there will be a vendor where you can craft like Azoth and, TC and spellements and stuff like that, which again, I think is great, makes things more accessible and easier to get for the player. I think it's just a little disappointing because I feel like most of the player base, which is obviously the PvE player base, they don't really have a lot of stuff to do in the game, right? And I genuinely feel like if you are a casual player, if you played Wiz a day before the update and you played Wiz a day after the update, you're generally not going to see anything new in the game. And I could be absolutely wrong. I am by no means a casual player, but I'm just thinking, like, as if I was a casual, bro, how are you supposed to know there's new content in the game? Like, they don't throw it at you. And if there is new content in the game, you have to find it yourself, I guess you could keep up with the patch notes or the news maybe, but if you're hyper casual, you're not going to do that and you're not going to know what's in the game. And I think in general, KI's philosophy with, I'd argue catering towards like, advanced combat and elitists, I think that's just really screwing PvE because although I do appreciate them making a lot of PvP changes, and the meta is pretty good now, aside from the exploits and a couple of broken things like Minecast and, you know, a couple of other very minor things. PvP is doing pretty well, and raids are fun when you can actually get in there and do them, but most of the people aren't getting into PvP or not getting into a raid, you know? So where is their content? And I was really thinking about this recently. Well, they have like literally level 1 to like 170 content to do, including side quests and all these side activities, and I guess that's fair, right? You do have a lot of content to do in the game, but like as an end game player, it's like, how the hell am I supposed to know about these things? If I'm freaking Timmy and I have one storm and I'm working on my next storm and I'm just questing through the game, I'm not going to find anything new. And I think that's kind of silly, you know? And I guess maybe they could just make a pop-up on the side or something. I know they do sometimes when something new comes out, like, oh, hey, go check out this new thing we worked on. But I feel like they don't always do that. And at least in the case of this update, there actually is like no PvE update with the actual update. And obviously there's no pop-up because there's no content in the game to do for PvE players, even though this is the spring update. So like, it's really technical and really weird and stuff like that. So I don't know, man. I just think a lot of players, especially the PvE or my casual audience, just really is honestly getting tired of this kind of model. And again, I could be absolutely wrong, guys. I could be missing the mark here. I'm just completely talking about, like, you know, if I was not doing PvP, if I was more focused on PvE, or trying to put myself back in the perspective of when I was questing my characters up, would I even notice these things? You know, I'm just trying to put myself in the shoes of that kind of player. Or like the guy that gets on, you know, every weekend or only plays 3 times a week, you know, man. I'm trying to put myself back in the perspective of somebody like that, and like, I just genuinely can't tell you that I would be happy with the current PvE content they're putting out in the game. I don't notice it, and if it is there, it's not like worth actually doing and investing into. And there's a whole other plethora of things in the game, like, you know, spell elements, pet making, yada yada. Again, I have videos planned on this stuff in the future talking about the barrier to entry. This is a common thing I've seen in the community though, right? Ever since the new update came out, I've seen so many PvE players just like with their pitchforks being really angry and stuff like that. And like I said, guys, even as somebody who is like, you know, up there, and, you know, these updates are really nice for somebody that does PvP like me, right? Or raids and spell element grinds, right? It's really good for me. I can still acknowledge the fact that most people generally aren't going to be happy with it. So ultimately, I guess what I'm saying here, like a TLDR, if a KI dev is watching this, is like, if we're going to have an update and call it the Portal Apparel update, can the updates please actually be there at launch? I don't know what happened. I don't work there. If there's gonna be a Portal Apparel, then no Portal Apparel at the update. It's just kind of like, what the hell, man? In general, I think the game needs to be a lot less grindy as well. And I really think, just like PvP or Shambo, your philosophy needs to change in terms of like how you structure your yearly updates and stuff like that. Because I feel like the PvE players just really feel neglected, and they look at stuff like, oh wow, look at all the stuff that PvP players get. You know, PvP players cry and whine all the time. They're making all these changes for them though. And obviously the casual player, that's what it's going to look like to them, even though they're not going to understand the roots as to why something is broken and why something urgently has to get changed in like PvP or a raid. So like, if I was KingsIsle, man, I would start listening to the community, at least in terms of PvP, right? Because at least in PvP, we're doing all these like super small little changes, right, over a span of time, and it either does something or it doesn't. If it doesn't, we're in the same meta and it's really crappy. So if we're gonna make PvP changes and try to keep it consistent, we need to do like big changes with it and actually listen to the community, and not be like, oh, this is what I think they want, and then it did absolutely nothing. A recent change we had that I could use as an example here, if you are a more casual player, basically in the last meta, the last 8 months in PvP, this card called Banshee was extremely broken in the game. Every school ran it. It was really good tempo, really cheap. It set up a gambit in turn 1, and it put your opponent behind by like 4 turns. And they could like break a shield with it for 3 pips. It was insane. So they listened to the community complaint about, you know, Banshee being really overpowered and single dot counters not being good. So what they did is they actually buffed a card like Reap the Whirlwind, which is a single dot counter. But the catch is, it gives blades too. So KingsIsle probably thought they were being, you know, smart here. Oh, we're buffing up single OT counters and, you know, buffing up the blade on Reap the Whirlwind. But you did that, but then the blades just get Bansheed anyways. Now, thankfully, Banshee is balanced out a bit better now, so you can do this if you want. I still don't think it's a good card, in my opinion, and a lot of other players' opinions. My point here is to just show the clear disconnect between devs and players. If they actually just listen to the community about certain things, and they made their updates around that, and tested it out. If it didn't work, okay, go back and try something else again. So change the way you look at PvP and maybe how things are kind of planned out, okay, and please maybe just put more resources into PvE, you know, because I really feel like if we can find a more efficient way to actually listen to the PvP community, give them like good updates that make sense, not like the Reap the Whirlwind change. They can put less resources towards actually balancing PvP and put more resources towards actually, you know, making all this PvE content captivating, you know, less grindy, right? Make it feel good. And I think that would generally make everybody happy. And now I know, obviously in PvP, opinions differ. It's hard to filter out what's BS and what's, you know, good feedback and stuff like that. Listen, I get it, man. But like at the very least, you can maybe listen to one part of the community. Like, I don't know, like listen to like Liam, for example, like the buff Storm guy. Okay, what if we actually buff Storm a lot? Oh crap, it's broken or it's actually playable like the other schools have been for the past 2 years. Okay, maybe we need to, you know, revert that change or nerf it down a bit. And that's why I'm saying, like, when schools are so broken for so long, in like 2 years, and like all of 5th age, for example, if they just simply do, you know, more game changing updates and less like small things, it would shake up the meta. It would be a lot more fun as well, and you wouldn't always see the same 4 schools on the first page of the leaderboard. So that's why I'm proposing they should do that for PvP, and again, put that extra time towards PvE and putting more content in there, or spending more time to figure things out, or just having, you know, I don't know, just a better system in PvE. But yeah, man, this video is probably kind of long. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know if you agree or disagree with anything in the comments below. All I ask is be respectful, and I will see you guys on the next one. Thank you for watching, and take care, y'all.